Hello, good afternoon. This is Ask the Regulator. We're on season 1, episode 3. Today we are discussing creating a responsible practice. And so we're just discussing the rules and regulations of your city and state, and owner responsibilities, right? Our responsibility is to know those rules and regulations. I am Katie Cravens, founder and CEO at buildmysop.com. Joined with me is our co-host, the former regulator from the Marijuana Colorado Enforcement Division, Mr. Tom Mohan, and our special guest today, Miss Kristen Yoder. She's been featured in Vanity Fair, Forbes, USA Today, and named one of the Marijuana Venture magazine's 40 Under 40 Rising Stars of Cannabis. She's also the owner of Cynical Stoner, which I am a customer of. I absolutely love your product, Kristen. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been in the Los Angeles cannabis industry since 2005, at which time I managed the first dispensary in the city of LA for 5 years, followed by 2 years of learning how to grow indoor, outdoor, and realizing that I am not cut out for that work, which is why mad respect to the growers. We owe them so much more than they get.
By the way, I'm Tom Mohan. Worked 30 years in public safety as a paramedic, as a police officer. Most recently, I did 7 years with Marijuana Enforcement Division, Colorado. So I got to see a lot of business owners and, talk a lot of that side of it. So when I started out in 2014, when Rec just came on with Colorado, and kind of watching it then, just like you said, Katie, the attitude was, the business owners was kind of like the back streets, drug deal kind of thing. And I totally saw that back in 2014 and 15. It's gotten a lot less now. It's getting better to where owners are actually taking accountability and giving and empowering their managers to hopefully make that culture.
But we're following the rules so we can play the game, so we can grow the weed, so we can sell the weed. And the more responsible practices that we create, the more power we give the plant. And that's why I'm here at the end of the day. And I will agree with you, Tom, that I've seen a lot of maturity in the industry in the last few years. And I'm grateful for that. We work with a lot of owner operators, especially with our initial customization for our SOPs. Well, we'll go in and we'll figure out the rules and regulations for their municipality and for their state and make sure all of their in-house practices are mirroring those rules and regulations. But we do let them know it is your responsibility as the owner to know the rules and the regulations of your city and state. So yeah, creating a compliant culture to begin with. The owner operators, no, don't go smoke weed with your employees in the parking lot. It's completely inappropriate. You don't need to be consuming with your employees. You just don't. And that's where creating those SOPs and training your employees fully, being consistent and creating structure and clarity can save your business and save their sanity.
In our culture and TV, all these moms drink wine and everyone celebrates with a beer and watches the game. It's such a part of our culture. If anyone drinks or takes anything to shift their consciousness, they have zero right to judge anyone on anything. And that goes for weed smokers to drinkers. It doesn't matter. You don't get to judge other people's substances or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's where, starting way back in 2014, the Wild West time frames, you had everybody getting a license. Now you're starting to get more businesses that have structure, that have that ownership and accountability. So hopefully it's getting better where you don't get burnt out in that 6 months.
It is. And, with that said, with the maturity in the relationship, there's been a lot more tools that have been developed.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is the owner's responsibility also to give employees the tools they need to exceed, have confidence, and perform at their highest potential. It's every single owner's job. And I think a lot of people fall short of that because they are overwhelmed, or they don't know. But now that we're, the industry is not in its, infancy anymore. It's still very young. There are more tools like Build My SOP out there that can really give your managers and operators the strength that they need to carry on.
Yeah, training is essential at every juncture. And I know there are several good companies that have an onboarding program, and then they have every couple months you take some more classes or whatever, or you incentivize learning. The best managers I've ever had ask me what I wanted to do in the future. Like, they invested in me. They found out what I wanted to do. They like actually tried to make it like a place you want to be. And I don't think it's not fucking rocket science to invest in your employees simply by communicating with them and checking in and being like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how are things going? Is there anything I can help you with? You know, like just caring, but also being available and not being scary or moody. That helps. The most important thing of all is consumer safety and employee safety, period. Like, period. We have the worst healthcare system in the fucking world practically in America. Like, no one can afford to get sick. You will ruin someone's life with medical bills. It's not fair, dude. Like, it's not cool. So
well, in Colorado, didn't they have something, Tom, where they were calling managers and pretending to be like a hospital worker, saying that they needed to bring this much cash to the hospital.
So they did a whole bunch of different scams, and it wasn't like the hospital worker. It was somebody that was with somebody else that says, hey, the boss says that they would spoof emails and spoof numbers to, hey, the boss says, you know, grab X number of dollars of cash and meet me here. And they had several of them where they would bring literally thousands of dollars in a bag and go, okay, here it is. And we had several of those last year.
I, being from the California unregulated industry, my entire career was asked to do some crazy shit that was not legal, dude. Not legal, no. But I loved my job. And I was like, you know, I'm down for the pound or whatever. What a fucking joke, you know?
Down
but also,
for the pound. I love that one.
As long as you know it's gonna hurt, then fuck it. Bring it on, you know?
Yeah.
Just tell me first. So I can
No,
be
I've
ready.
told people that. I'm like, do you know what you're getting into now that you've decided to be an owner-operator? I want you to know that it's got everything you think is going to take this long, make that 4 times longer, and that's the reality of the timing with it. Make it 4 times more expensive. If you don't have $6 million that you don't care about whether or not you see it again, don't do this.
Yes, exactly.
Well, guys, we've come to the end of our hour. I could talk shit with you all day, Kristen.
I know, right?
I've enjoyed it.
Right? Who would have thought? In what other industry could I make a career out of talking shit? Like, you know? So, I mean, I love this industry and the ingenuity that comes with the plants.